What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be doing a couple of small things on the Clio. First up, I want to do the interior trim bits like I mentioned in the previous video. Where I showed you guys the walk around the car. If you missed that, I'll link it up in this corner and I'll show you guys what the plan is for that. Then the next thing that I want to do is the torque mount, I believe it's called. It's on top of the motor. I'll show you guys that as well. But that is torn, so everyone says that I must get a polyurethane mount, and I've actually got the stuff to make my own polyurethane mount. So I'm going to rip that out, and if it's torn badly, then I'll make my own mounting for that. And the other thing that I want to do is I want to remove the acoustic valve. For those of you who don't know, the acoustic valve shuts off one side of the airbox. It's actually, as far as I can tell, for European emission stuff or sound, something to do with that. So it shuts off the one side of the airbox, and then at a certain RPM it closes up a flap, and then the airbox has got two inlets. So I want to take that valve out so that it's got two inlets permanently at all times. That's basically the cheapest way. If you don't do a full intake, that's the cheapest way. I can't tell you if I'm going to gain anything, but it should sound a bit better down low. It should have a bit more grunt. So I'm going to show you guys how to remove the acoustic valve. So for the interior, this is currently what it looks like, 100% stock. I want to wrap this blue, that part and that one there, and then I actually want to spray this gloss black like I mentioned in the previous video. I was at a friend yesterday and he gave me some blue wrap. I think this is the closest that I'll get to the vehicle's color. As you can see, it's not 100% a match, but it's extremely close, so I think that's going to look good. I can already imagine it. I'm going to start by pulling this off. I'm going to remove the radio first. There's these small clips that you need to push a small screwdriver in, and the radio will pull out. From there I'll start loosening the center console. I believe it's only clipped in, there's no screws holding it in. In case you guys could not see that on camera, I basically started lifting it up from here, and then I would get my hands in on this side and clip it out. There's the two clips. You just need to pull it off carefully so that you don't break it, and then all of these stuff clip out as well. Actually, when I got these two out, the bottom came out as well, so it all came off at once. These trims also just pull off. Like I said, wrap these with a blue wrap, and then this is going to get sprayed. I just need to remove those buttons, which is fairly easy. It's just clipped in on there. So I'm going to remove these buttons, and then I'll start prepping it for spray. As you can see, the silver that's on here is not the neatest. It looks weathered or aged or whatever you want to call it. The next step is going to be to wet sand the center console. You can dry sand it, but I just prefer wet sanding. And I'm going to use a 1000 grit sanding disc. You guys can use normal sanding paper, would do the trick. I'm just going to use this disc since I do have them for the headlight restorations that I do. So I'm just going to scuff it up a bit so that the paint has something to stick to, because this surface is slick at the moment. The console is sanded down. As you can see, it's got a matte finish to it now. All over, it's not glossy anymore. And I washed it under the tap. The next step that I'm going to take is I'm going to clean it with this, which is basically alcohol, so it's going to remove all the oils from my hands. And you need to make sure that this is entirely dry. So I used compressed air to blow it out. If you don't have compressed air, you can just put it out in the sun to ensure that it dries fully. You don't want any water making contact with your spray paint. So I'm going to wipe it down with prep now, and then I'll start spraying. The paint I got is just normal spray mate, and it's a gloss black. So I'm going to lay this down, a couple of coats of this. I'm going to start with a very thin layer, and then I'll start putting it on more heavy as we go along. I'll do a couple of coats of this, followed by a clear coat. After spraying, it's a little too orange peely for my liking. I haven't started with the clear coat yet. This is just black paint. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to use a 3000 grit disc, and I'm going to sand it down slightly to get a smoother finish, and then we'll start applying the clear coat. After the 3000 grit sanding, this is what it currently looks like. Still a slight orange peel, but I mean, it'll never be perfect. What I'm gonna do next is I'm going to start applying the clear coat, and then once the clear coat is done, we'll probably wet sand it again and give it a quick polish for it to bring out the gloss way more. I didn't sand too much here. I mean, this is underneath. It sits like this in the car, so you'll never see that. So I didn't do too much sanding there. While the clear coat is drying on that, I'm going to remove the acoustic valve on the car. I'll show you guys how that's done. I already made those strips blue, but we'll get to that a bit later on in the video, once everything is assembled in the interior. So this is the acoustic valve. As you can see, one side goes to the intake, and here's the other side. There's two sides to the intake. So this valve is supposed to be open at the moment, and then once you start the car up, this actuator will actually close the valve, and then at a certain RPM it'll open it back up again. So I'm going to remove this completely. Just going to leave this trumpet, or whatever you want to call it, here. We'll actually look for a piece of pipe that fits in there, that can go through there to the bottom of the car. Then we'll either take out the fog light and feed it from there, or we'll mount it behind the grill and feed some air from there into the air box. But for now I'm going to remove this. There's two 10mm nuts that comes off, and then this, apparently you just blank it off with a screw or something, and that should work. So that's what it looks like inside. Can you guys even see there? That's what it looks like, and then the valve closes when you start it up, apparently, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna leave this the way it is for now, until we get something to feed air from the bumper. Just going to plug this. I'm just going to screw a bolt or something in there to plug that vacuum off, so it's not open all the time. Okay, the acoustic valve is off. This is blocked off. I just tucked it in there so it looks a bit tidier. While we are in the engine bay, This is the mounting that I want to take out. I already loosened it up here so you can lift this up for some room. We'll loosen this, which is 18, and this is also 80mm. Once those two are loosened, we can take this mounting out and see what it actually looks like. I got this mounting out, but to be honest, I don't think this mounting is in need of replacing. It has some play, but I don't think it's excessive play. If you look there, I'm trying to push it forward. I don't think this needs any work. I'm just going to pop it back. I did tighten all of these bolts on this mounting down here. They weren't loose, but I managed to give each of them about a quarter of a turn or so. But I'm just going to pop this one back in. I don't think this is one of our issues on the car at the moment. This is what it currently looks like after it's been painted. To be honest, it looks a lot worse on camera than what it actually looks like when you see it with the eye. But I am going to wet sand it again now with 3000, and after that I'm going to polish it. Everything's assembled now, and I must be honest, I'm loving this look. It looks way nicer than the plain silver that was here before. Like I showed you, the silver was faded. This looks a lot better. I'll probably remove this at a later stage and give it a polish again, just to remove a bit more orange peel, but it's honestly not bad. It's not like a car's paint that you see outside in the sun. The way it reflects light is differently because it doesn't take in a lot of light. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you learned something or enjoy the content, please give it a thumbs up and drop a comment down below. I'd really appreciate the support. The car is going back in tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's leaking oil between the gearbox and the motor. I'm not sure why, because I paid 9,000 Rand for a clutch kit with labor, with a new slave cylinder, with a rear main seal, and for some reason it's leaking oil. So the car is going back tomorrow. No idea how long I am going to be without it this time. I don't know, I'm really not happy that the car has to go back, but it's leaking oil. While the car is going in, I might get it scanned with a Renault tool to see if we can trace down the P0300 error that it's throwing, which is random multiple cylinder misfire. Because I've checked the plugs, I checked the coil packs, I checked the injectors. I did a cat delete on the vehicle actually, and it's still acting up. If I drive the car, it's almost as if it doesn't want to rev until I get it into the VTEC or VVTi stage, and then it is moving. But down low there's almost no power, so it's sluggish. So I might just get it scanned while it's going in now and see if we can figure out what's causing the P0300 error. Hopefully we can find it soon. I don't know what else to tell you guys, but that's going to be it for this one, bro. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, and reflect your passion.